The Her Sports Show, live every Wednesday on YouTube and every podcast app.
Hello and welcome to the Her Sports Show, our weekly series bringing you all the latest and breaking sports news in the world of women's sport. In today's episode, we discuss the World Para Swimming Championships, the eSkootr Championship with Nicci Daly, and look ahead to this week's All-Ireland Football Championships. And we're delighted to announce the winner of the competition for the Huawei GT Runner. The winner is Elizabeth Gahan. Send us a DM and we'll get the prize out to you as soon as possible. In the newspaper headlines today, it's great news for her sport ambassador Nicole Turner, as she managed to pick up a brilliant bronze, making it the second bronze of the World Para Swimming Championships. Turner adds second bronze to Ireland's haul. Nicole Turner claimed Ireland's second bronze at the World Para Swimming Championships in Portugal after recording a time of 3:12.62 in the SM6 200 metres individual medley final yesterday. Turner finished 3:34 behind Britain's Grace Harvey, who took silver, while her compatriot Maisie Summers-Newton sealed gold in the time of 2:58.76. Turner follows the success of Roisin Ní, who won bronze in the 100 metre butterfly S13 class on Sunday. Earlier today, we talked to medal-winning Nicole Turner and her teammate Amy Sheridan to talk all things World Para Swimming Championships and Nicole's medal race.
Nicole Turner, you're back on the podium where you belong. Third place, 200 IM. You were speaking about not expecting this morning, so how do you feel?
To be honest, I'm delighted. Like, it is, Madeira must be a special place. Every time I come, I end up on the podium. And to be honest, this year, like, even today, it's not, the focus wasn't on today, the focus is on Saturday, so I think it's always a bonus when you do well in a race that you're not expected to. It was very hard, I'm not going to lie, but the time, like, it's still 3 seconds off my best, but if I'm honest, this year, it's been a very short year, so I'll take that.
Absolutely, I mean, anyone would take a bronze medal. Can you talk us through that race? You exploded out at the very start, and then it was a case of holding on against other girls' stronger strokes.
Yeah, exactly. I think especially with the 2 AM, like I even discussed with Dave and Hayley, like my key to that is not going out too hard on the fly, or because I just die for the next 150 metres. So the aim from this morning was to keep the fly the same, the back the same, just focus on the last 15, and then just bring the breast and free home.
It must be nice when a plan comes together like that.
I mean, it must be, yeah. It works out well.
Looking forward to getting your medal later on.
I am, yeah, it's nice. And even like me and Maisie, Maisie would be my best friend now in the para swimming world. And we've never actually shared a podium together before, so it'll be lovely.
Nicole and Amy, thanks so much for joining us. Nicole, huge congratulations on the medal. I'd say you're absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it was quite a shock. It still wasn't, well, like it's a season's best by a long while. My best has been about a year and a half ago now, but I think like it was so unexpected that the medal kind of made up for the 3 seconds I added on to my time. So it was nice. It was a nice opener for me. Like, as I said last night in my interview, the focus is really on the 50 fly on Saturday. So to win a medal in a race that's unexpected is very nice.
Absolutely, it's a good start to the competition anyway, and as you mentioned with the 50 flies. So you obviously got a silver in the 50 fly in the Paralympic Games. So what are the aspirations and ambitions this time around?
To be honest, it's kind of the focus all about the process. Like, thankfully, not many of us, there is a heat and a final, so it's all about getting through the heat and then tweaking what I need to fix from the heat into the final, and then whatever happens, happens. I'm not putting any pressure or expectation on myself, but it'll be a good fight anyways.
It was your birthday yesterday as well, so that's a pretty good birthday present.
Yeah, to be honest, like I only realised that it was my birthday yesterday as I left the room, and Ellen wished me happy birthday, but I think I actually didn't even celebrate or give any attention to my birthday until I finished racing, and then the whole team got together and I got a cake and I carried off everyone. So it was a special moment. Like, not many people get to swim World Championships and win the world medal on their birthday, so it was one to remember anyways.
Yeah, a nice way to top it off for you. Amy, what's it been like for you? So there's a lot of inspiration there with your teammates.
Oh, it's amazing, especially with someone like this beside me. Like, it's been such a good experience, and to have these world-class athletes, and I know, but these swimmers that can go out and just win medals like on their birthday, and it's no big deal. That's like the way Nicole goes about it. So it's really It just makes me really excited for the future as well, and it makes me more excited to see what happens in the future.
Nicole, you mentioned last night that Madeira is a very special place for you, and every time you compete here, you come away with a medal. So what's that like?
Yeah, I honestly don't know what it is. Like, we had a set Europeans there last year and Europeans in 2016. Europeans in 2016 was my first ever international medal, and then I took away 4 medals last year, and I took away a medal last night. So I think, I don't know if it's the pool, I don't know if it's my mindset. Like, just to be honest, like this year, especially after Tokyo, I went out and enjoyed myself. Like, I went back to college, I focused on education as well as swimming. So this year it was a bit up and down. So these championships, like, they weren't the be all and end all. The next year is more important because it's qualification for Paris. So I just went out and enjoyed myself last night, and thankfully the enjoyment did come with something a little extra special.
4 European medals is some going anyways. In terms of you have 3 more events at these championships. So how are you hoping to do in the next races?
To be honest, it's just all about focusing one event at a time. So I have 50 tomorrow, I come to Brest on Friday, and then I have 55 on Saturday. So it's just literally about going through the heats, and then giving it everything in the finals, and whatever happens.
Amy, tell us about being the flag bearer with Ellen Keane. That's a great thing to be able to do.
It's been fantastic, and I really enjoyed the whole experience, especially because it's my first major championships. To be a flag bearer, it's a great honour as well, and to have Ellen beside me, just kind of having a friend beside you the whole way, it's really exciting and it's a great experience.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing to be able to do for your country, and you certainly have some great role models on the team there with you. What's coming next for you, and are the Paralympics a big goal?
Yeah, Paralympics is my biggest goal so far. Like in swimming, I'm like praying next year that I'll be able to qualify, especially because next year is a big year, and I've got my leaving cert next year as well. But my focus is to hopefully be able to qualify.
You've taken us through what's next for you in terms of competition, and obviously you're talking about Paris and everything. So it's a really driven team, and we have some really motivated athletes there with the two of you. So best of luck with the rest of the competition, Nicole. Congratulations, Amy, on your debut, and we look forward to what's next in store. That was Nicole Turner and Amy Sheridan joining us from the World Para Swimming Championships in Madeira. The next story features both the Examiner and the Independent and reads, "Ladies yet to return to Kerry's Centre of Excellence." Kerry ladies footballers still face lockout. Kerry's female footballers, who started their All-Ireland series by taking Galway's considerable scalp last weekend, still haven't got access to the county's GAA Centre of Excellence, writes Clean Foley. Scoring ace Louise Nimura-Hartig, whose image is among those plastered on its exterior walls for promotion purposes, recently revealed that her team is not getting to train in the Currans. They did so regularly last season, but despite recent negotiations, are still training in IT Tralee. Kerry half-back Aisling O'Connell has described the situation as disappointing, adding, "But we just have to get on with it." You're playing football for Kerry. It's where you want to be when you see that the men and underage boys teams are there. You want to be treated the same. We all backed Louise, and everything she said that day, it's the truth. There was no lies. She didn't goss it up or anything. We haven't been in there and want to be back in there. As far as I'm aware, our county board has been in talks with Kerry GAA, but we haven't seen any changes since then, which is a bit disappointing. I'm hoping that it will be resolved shortly, O'Connell said. A few of the teams that have gotten preference there because they're men's teams, which is perfectly fair. The men's hurlers and stuff. They're no longer in the championship. Would we take their spot? Beating Galway has left Kerry on the brink of qualification for the All-Ireland quarterfinals. We're just like, why not this year, why not us, said O'Connell. It's disappointing to hear that this is the situation for Kerry and that talks haven't progressed as they're looking to qualify for the quarterfinals. In terms of the situation, it kind of outlines and highlights the difficulty of the three organisations being separate when it comes to the GAA, the LGFA and the Camogie Association. Constantly, members of the LGFA and Camogie Association are essentially paying rent to the GAA because they don't own typically their own grounds or their own facilities. Is this a situation where there needs to be a rent to buy scheme, or that they're getting some shares or some ownership of the premises all around the country? And this goes for club and for county level, because at the moment the situation is that by constantly paying in this format and it being viewed as renting, you're not getting the same bargaining power, the same rights, and it's always, well, the GAA owns the premises, or the GAA owns these facilities, so of course the men's footballers and the hurlers are going to get priority over the women. This can't continue to be the case, because it constantly at club level and at county level they're running into situations where the women are second-class citizens, they're not getting the opportunities and they're not getting the access to the facilities that they need. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this, particularly from camogie players and from ladies footballers, to hear what are your thoughts, what are your experiences, because it's something that is a constant conversation in terms of being asked to leave pitches or not getting access to the different facilities in clubs all over the country. Moving on to a better news story over in golf. Beth Coulter won the Irish Women's Close yesterday at Grange Golf Club, going one better than last year, having finished runner-up. Coulter beat Cork's Sara Byrne 6-5 in the final and caught up with us after her victory.
Beth, the 2022 Irish Women's Close champion. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does, and especially after last year, runner-up, it was nice to be able to go and finish the job this year. I was very disappointed last year. The 7-hour journey to back up was probably the worst I've had in a long time, but yeah, it was really nice to get it done today.
So we'll talk about doing one better than last year in a moment, but a comprehensive victory there in the end.
It was, yeah. I kind of got out of the blocks quickly. I birdied the first, and then I just kept my foot in the pedal. I stayed up, and it's nice to be able to do that, not putting myself under too much pressure, coming down the home stretch. So it was nice to be able to finish it out early.
So 2 rounds of stroke play followed by match play. Is there a format in particular that suits your game best or that you enjoy the most? I'm
not so sure. I've won tournaments that are both. But I think in the stroke play I'm kind of only really thinking about myself, and the match play, a whole load of different things came out of it. I didn't play my best in the stroke play this week, but after a few rounds I was just like, I just need to get through to the match play, and it doesn't really matter where you qualify because you have to beat everyone to win. So I kind of just reset the first day of the match play and played it from there.
You say you didn't play the best. You finished what, T11 after the stroke play?
Yeah.
So you're still up there.
Genuinely, I was swinging it off. I was hitting it in the trees and doubles and everything. But it was nice to be able to reset and just go again the next day. And I didn't really have much of that then the next day.
So you win 6-5. What's the first thought that goes through your head?
I kind of didn't really know it was over. After I missed the short putt on 12, on 13, then I held the long one to win, and we were kind of like, is that it? And it's kind of an unbelievable feeling. It doesn't feel real, but it's kind of sunk in a bit now, which is nice. Yeah, I suppose I'm current Irish Girls Champion, and it was nice to be able to win this one and then go and play next week in the girls to try and defend that. But last year, I took a lot from that last year, going up the road for that 7 hours, and I was really disappointed. But you're always playing your friends in these kind of things, and it was nice to be able to go out and play with Sara and have a chat and have a laugh. So yeah, I'm delighted.
So you kind of alluded to it there now, but what's next? What's coming up for you after this week?
After this week, I have the British Am. I'll be leaving in a couple of days, and this year is going to, give me confidence getting into next week. Same kind of format. So hopefully I continue, playing good golf and holding a few putts.
Will you get a chance to enjoy the win now?
I hope so, getting up the road tonight. I was in Germany last week and I just finished my exams this week, so I haven't really seen anyone. So it'll be nice to get up the road and see my friends and family.
So you mentioned you have exams. Can you just remind people what age you are exactly?
I just turned 18, so I'm finished my A-levels there. So it was nice to be able to get them out of the way. I'm focused now a bit on more in the summer and getting to America.
Our final headline today is carried across the Mirror, the Examiner and the Independent, as Vicky Wall confirms that she'll be joining the North Melbourne AFLW side after this All-Ireland Championship. This is just the latest example of a county player joining the professional team, adding more depth to the question, can the two sports coexist? In the Examiner it says, with the AFLW season moved to an August start date and the increasing drive towards professionalism in the oval ball game, it's anticipated that Irish players will shortly have to choose between both sports. Up to now, the majority of Irish in the AFLW have split their time each year between the two countries, playing in both codes. It's been reported that Orla Lally, another key member of Meath's All-Ireland winning championship in 2021 and a recent National League winner, will leave for the Frettleman Dockers when the LGFA season is over. With more and more Irish players leaving for Australia and recent near doubling of wages in the AFLW, pressure may come on here for the LGFA to provide basic expense payments and gear allowances for all players. Even as simple a thing as boots and your kit and gear, whether that's for camogie or whatever, they are expensive, said Wall. You're paying a couple of €100 for a pair of boots and you wear them so often that you're replacing them regularly. A number of counties will see their stars depart for Australia after this championship, such as Dublin's Sinead Goldrick and Lauren Mccabe, but other counties such as Mayo have seen their teams be decimated by the semi-professional game, with Sarah Rowe, the Kelly sisters and Aileen Gilroy all opting for AFLW ahead of GAA. And now Cork has lost all-star Erica O'Shea. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this in terms of AFLW and GAA, the fact that we're losing more Irish players to go over and play this professional sport, and what does the LGFA have to do in order to keep some of Ireland's top talent here. The All-Ireland Senior Football Championship got underway last weekend, with Donegal coming away with a close win, overcoming Waterford. We caught up with Yvonne Bonner, who talked about the all-important win and how they clinched the victory. Round 1 of the Ladies Gaelic Senior Football Championship saw wins for Kerry, Donegal, Meath, Dublin and Mayo. I'm delighted to say that I'm now joined by Donegal's Yvonne Bonner. Yvonne, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Niamh. It's great to be here.
In terms of the match against Waterford, it was very tight. So how were the preparations going into the match?
Yeah, I suppose you can't, no matter how well you plan, I suppose you'd never know what's in store. It wasn't the best of weather. It wasn't a great day, but you know, you got them games that you just have to dig deep, and thankfully we came out the right end. You know, it wasn't probably pretty to watch, but it's just about sticking in there and trying to be as positive as you can right to the end. And you know, yeah, that's the way football, I suppose, is gone now. And but we're thankful just to come out in the right end of things.
So in the end, the score was 10 points to a goal and 5 points. So talk us through a couple of those scores.
Yeah, as I says, in a game like that, every score, every possession, everything is so vital. But yeah, it was hard to get anything in the first half. As you said, it was 2 points to 3 at half time. But thankfully, we got it kind of on top of their kickouts. We got a bit of joy off that there. But and still, in saying that, you know, it was still pretty tight. With 2 points in it, could have went anyway. They have a lot of speed in their team, and you know they could get through for a goal, but thankfully we held out, and you know we came out the right side of things.
What are some of the learnings that you'll take from that match as you progress?
Yeah, it's just, I suppose, to keep an open mind. You never know each game what's going to be in store. You know, you might have a open flowing game, but you could have that game there that like everybody's behind the ball, and you just have to try and be positive and keep the head, like keep in it as long as you can. And it's going to come down to the wire, and every possession is so important. So just trying to keep that focus, I suppose, right to the bitter end, and you know, grind out that performance that you need. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you win by 20 points or 1 or 2 points, you know, a win's a win. So thankfully we move on to the next one now.
As a player, what's it like when it is those tight games? Like, do you prefer playing a really tight match, or do you prefer to kind of maybe have it wrapped up with a little bit of wiggle room as you head to the final whistle?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the performance as well. When it's tight and you mightn't be performing at your best, it can be a bit of like, oh, we were, you know, lucky enough at that. But when it's tight, and you know, that's what you play football, I suppose, is for that competitiveness, and that you know that you're going to be up against it, and every possession counts. Everything is so vital and important, but that's what we play for, and it's that enjoyment and that competitiveness. So now every team that you come up against, it's just you know, real high standards, and that's what you want, I suppose.
Absolutely, and it can make those wins very, very sweet when you come out the right side of it. You mentioned obviously the elements, so how much did that play into how you attacked their kickouts then?
Yeah, I suppose, like, you know, we just wanted to try and stay in it as best we could. In the first half, we were against the wind. It was very strong. So not alone were against the, you know, very defensive setup, but, you know, if we even got a shot away, it was against that gale force wind, and then them kind of thundery showers as well. So you had to be so careful, like that, you know, it would, if you maybe kicked the ball, or you had to work it through the hands, because, you know, it's so vital, every possession, you didn't want to mess it up. But I suppose things opened up then the second half slightly, and we knew that she was kicking into that strong wind, so we could I suppose, put a bit of pressure on that, and we won a few off that, and we got a few scores from the kick out. So I suppose it's just, you have to just play it as it comes, you know.
In terms of the match, so it was part of a double header which took part in St Brendan's Park in Birr, with Kerry and Galway playing just after your match. So in terms of visibility to women's sport, do you feel that double headers like that can be really positive for growing the game, or what do you think of it?
Yeah, definitely. It's you want to grow the game, and I suppose getting it on the TV and having double headers like that, it was a great game. The second game, you know, Kerry and Galway, and you know, high scoring, I suppose. Like, I know ours was a wee bit lower, but it was still, you know, two good games, and that's what you want. You want to be promoting it all the time, and TG Carr is doing a fabulous job in that.
And what was it like? Obviously, nobody was playing on home ground, so do you think that added a different element to it as well?
Yeah, there was no advantage, I suppose, to anybody. You know, I suppose there's some ones that travelled up, but then when you do have it on the TV, you have ones that are, you know, like to enjoy it and watch it on the TV as well and get them action replays. But you know, it's still just putting the sport out there, and people are watching and people are interested in following, you know, the game. So it's brilliant, and it's building all the time, and you can see that with the underage and, you know, the participation in sport and ladies Gaelic football.
Yeah, no, you can certainly see it with the participation, and then obviously the kind of increase in attendances and the traction that it's getting. So it is really exciting to see it continue to grow year on year. So in terms of the 2-point lead, you got away with one around the half-hour mark with Waterford's Kellyanne Hogan missing a penalty. So talk us through that.
Yeah, that's right. We have all them things as well. So we were really thankful, I suppose, to come out on the right side of things. You know, I think we won the kick out, and, you know, we lost possession, and we had a lot forward, I suppose, pressing the kick out at that stage. So they caught us on the counter. And as I say, Waterford are, you know, a really, really fast team. They've got really speedy players, and they caught us on the counter, and yeah, they got the penalty, but thankfully, I suppose, not thankfully for them, but thankfully she missed. And, you know, we were very, very lucky, you know, in that incident. And I think they had a few frees as well that were in scoreable positions. But look, we come out on the right side of things. We just have to be as positive as we can, and we'll go on to the next one. And it's good buzz now coming into the Cork game, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a strong start for the 2022 championship, and as you mentioned, you have that upcoming match against Cork, the Munster provincial champions. So what are the key areas that you'll be looking to exploit for this match?
Yeah, like as I says, every game's different, but, you know, Maxie looks into, you know, all of that there, and he has as well drilled on different areas that we can, you know, focus on. But it's about focusing on ourselves as well and our strengths. So, you know, there's a good buzz around the camp now this week, and we were back on the field there last night, and we'll go again on Wednesday. But yeah, there's I suppose it's just focusing on our own, you know, running the ball, and we have a lot of speedy players as well, and just getting them players on the ball and just keeping it tight as we can at the back, because we know we have Cork are just, you know, talent all over the field. Like, so we'll really have to, you know, get a good performance, and hopefully, you know, we'll come out, you know, with a win. But we know we got a big game ahead of us now.
A challenge, but sure, as you said, take it game by game, and anything can happen. In terms of, you know, we're seeing a lot of more and more players going over to play AFLW. In terms of the players that are leaving, what do you think that impact will be on GAA here in Ireland?
Yeah, the way that the season, I suppose, is changing over there, you could have played the two and come home, and, you know, you would have missed a bit of the league beforehand, but now it's kind of really clashing. You see that, but a lot of players have opted out to not play with county. I suppose you're coming back so late, and then again, it's trying to see if the AFL will work with you, and, you know, so you can play the championship. But it's not ideal. Like, you want to be training with your county and, you know, performing, and, you know, for the whole time. You can't just be coming in for short spells. But so you will see, I suppose, a lot of people opting out, and with the CBA, I suppose, the increase in pay over there and everything, I suppose it is very inviting, and you see that with a lot of players opting to head over now. But that's the battle, I suppose, that you're going to have, you know. and we knew it was going to change at some stage, but we didn't know when. But with the 2 seasons clashing now, we will probably lose a lot of players. But hopefully, like, you know, they're young and they will get that experience over there, but they will come back and return.
In terms of the impact that will have, do you think that it'll hurt some counties more than others? And there's a lot of depth at the moment in football.
Yeah, like it's no matter what, I suppose, like, you know, they're looking at talented players. They're going to, if somebody's going over there, like, they're going to be a loss to the county, of course, like, but I suppose, as I said, is, you know, all you can do is let them experience that. It's the same instance, I suppose, if they head over and play Gaelic football, and it's just all about experience, and you can't stop them, and you just have to support them, and hopefully they will return and, you know, give plenty of years to the county and give service to them as well. But yeah, it is very inviting at the minute, and you just have to let players, I suppose, enjoy their experience, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an exciting championship anyway this year, and we look forward to seeing you in action this weekend, and wish you the best of luck against Cork. Thanks a million for taking the time to chat to us today, and yeah, best of luck with the weekend. Welcome back. A quick reminder that you're watching the Her Sport Show, Ireland's #1 source for news and entertainment in women's sport. The Hockey World Cup is just around the corner, and I'm sure you won't forget the great silver medal that the team came away with at the last edition. There'll be high expectations on this team as they undergo their campaign at the World Cup. Later this week, Ireland will play Japan in an international series which will serve as a great opportunity for practice and warming up for the World Cup. We caught up with former international star Nicci Daly to talk all things hockey, as well as her latest endeavour in the eSkootr Championships. I'm now joined by eSkootr Championship racer, former Irish hockey player and Her Sport ambassador Nicci Daly. Hi Nicci, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Niamh. How are you?
Good, good. You've been a very busy woman. You hung up the hockey stick and jumped straight into something else. Tell us about eSkootr and what you're doing there.
Yeah, I swapped the lycra for leather. It's a brand new championship, the eSkootr Championship. It's exactly what it says it is. It's an electric scooter, basically, that I'm racing in a brand new form of motorsport. And yeah, it's something I did not expect after I retired from hockey, but I just kind of got asked, and I said, yeah, of course, I'll try it out. And it's been incredible. It's been such an amazing experience. We've had 2 races so far. First one in London in the print works there, and then the second one was in Sion in Switzerland 2 weekends ago. And it's just about sort of bringing, you know, this sport to the life of the cities, and trying to showcase micromobility and use that sort of sport at the high level as sort of an innovation hub for introducing micromobility scooters, bikes and things like that into our cities in a safe and sustainable way. So it's cool.
How did you end up getting involved? Like, how did it even come about?
Well, I suppose it's not, you know, that mad, considering I do have an interest in motorsport and I have sort of a background in it as well. And as a sport, they were really looking to create a diverse pool of riders. So they wanted people from different sporting backgrounds. They really didn't want to just have, you know, a load of motorbike racers or 2-wheel sports people to make up the series. So they really wanted to try and diversify the group of riders. And I just was asked, as, you know, somebody from maybe a different sporting background that wouldn't necessarily be seen to race or to be on 2 wheels. And I went to a test day sort of at the beginning of the year. And after that, they offered me a contract to race. And it was kind of totally unexpected, but I was kind of thrilled about it initially, and still am. I'm loving it. It's great.
It's a different kind of rush, I'd say, from being involved in hockey.
Yeah, it's very different. Like, you know, people often ask, like, is there anything that you transfer from hockey to the e-scooting? And not physically, or, you know, the skill sets are totally different, but I suppose you know, being agile, like good sense of balance from playing sport is always helpful. And then obviously, like, you can bring a mindset, you can bring sort of, you know, how you approach the racing, how you sort of, you know, approach getting on the scooter. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that you can probably bring across, is just everything that you've kind of learned mentally, your experience in general when it comes to competing. But other than that, no, there's not a lot to bring over from hockey.
In terms of the championship, tell us a bit about that. There's an individual and a team element, is that right?
Yeah, so there's 30 riders and there's 10 different teams. So each team has 3 riders. And I'm lucky enough to be part of Carlin Racing. And Carlin is a legendary British motor racing team. They've been very successful in the junior formula that run, the feeder series into Formula One. And my cousin has actually raced for Carlin since I think 2013. He raced for them. That was the first time he raced with them, and then he raced last year in IndyCar with them. So it's sort of like a long-standing relationship between Carlin and the Daly family, which is kind of really cool that I get to continue that tradition, although there is a bit of pressure there. So yeah, there's 3 riders. I'm partnered with 2 riders. Danny is an English rider. He's usually a mechanic by trade, and Anish Shetty, who's from India. He's motorcycle racer. So yeah, it's 3 riders per team. Each team generally has either 2 girls and 1 boy, or 2 boys and 1 girl on the team. And yeah, you race as a team, but also you're out to kind of, race for yourself individually. So
where can people tune in if they want to watch it and check it
out? It's on BBC, the iPlayer, and I think they have a couple of other platforms. It's all sort of digital platforms. I know DAZN, that DAZN, are now covering it.
I think they say, I think it's actually DAZN, but I think a lot of people don't get that. I only learned it at the press conference for Katie's fight.
Yeah, that's a bit too young and cool for me to know that. Yeah, there's different platforms. I think if you go onto the website, depending on where people are sort of tuning in from, there's definitely many places you can watch. Yeah, if you're looking to see something a little bit different, it's a good one to have a look at.
So in terms of what they're kind of doing with it, what are the plans over the next couple of years with growing the sport?
So they want to introduce a grassroots program, and they've already established it as sort of one of the most diverse sports, especially in motorsport, where it is primarily male dominated. So they want to make it obviously accessible, diverse, and affordable, because motorsport in general is quite expensive. And they have this plan to grow a grassroots program, so young kids can come and start to develop on these scooters, and the scooters are pretty much going to be the same, just a shorter handlebar, or but the making of it, the base of it, and the sort of chassis of it will be mainly the same, so that you don't, as you develop, you don't spend loads of money, you just develop your skills and your time on the scooter and your racecraft and stuff like that. So I think it's that's sort of the plans for the sport. And then the plans outside of that are, like I said, they want to introduce sort of they want to be an innovation hub for sort of safer micromobility options in city centres. And I think that's sort of where they see themselves, as that sort of a little bit like Formula One being innovation hub for technology and day-to-day cars. They kind of see themselves like that in the micromobility sector. So
it's definitely the latest cool, hip and trendy sport on the market anyways.
Yeah, I mean, people kind of are, they think it's kind of funny that we're wearing full motorbike leathers, and it is, like, we do look a bit ridiculous getting onto a scooter with full length leathers and a helmet and gloves and boots, but
someone said it gave a Power Ranger vibe earlier.
Yeah. But they're fast, they go 100 kilometers an hour, and there's no graceful way to fall off a scooter. So you are thankful for, the full set of leathers and the helmet when you do come off it, because yeah, I haven't seen somebody come off it the exact same way yet. There's been many ways to come off it, with limbs and things flying all over the place.
Are there a lot of people falling off? Like you sound like you might have fallen off from the way that you phrased that.
Yeah, I have. I've taken a few spills, a few tumbles. Thankfully, nothing serious for anyone. It's just you know, the scooter. You know, you can only lean it so far, and then if you lean a bit too much,
it's like being on a bike.
Yeah, a little bit. Only you're kind of going a little bit faster maybe than what you're used to. And it's different because you're standing on it, so you don't really have anything. You know, your body isn't hanging on to anything other than your hands. So it is a bit of a weird sensation when you're trying to go around a corner quickly standing up.
Was it not a scary transition moving from hockey into a sport like that, where obviously something like, you know, people are watching motorsport and obviously you've grown up around that, but where the, you know, accident risk is like a good bit higher?
Yeah, like I suppose it's not totally foreign to me, the concept of racing. Like I have been in a cart before, and I've, you know, driven a car around a track before, so I think I'm okay with the concept of speed and comfortable enough with that. I just don't really have any racing experience, and that's sort of where that's where I'm sort of at a deficit to maybe some of the riders. But you know, I feel like every time I get on and I'm improving that little bit. And I was delighted to reach the final in Sion, because I didn't think that was realistically going to happen at all this year. But yeah, I think it's nice to be able to start in a new sport as well, where there's sort of no expectation and there's no pressure. And I've just enjoyed that challenge of just seeing, okay, well, what does the next day bring, and how much can I improve today when I get on it again? And yeah, it's good.
An adrenaline rush, I'd say. Anyways, in terms of the team, how are you getting on, and how's the team getting on at the moment?
Great. Yeah, we're P1 in the team standings, and my teammate is top of the individual standings. And then myself and Danny, I think, are both 8th and 9th. So we're inside the top 10. But yeah, main thing is the team's at the top of the team standings, which is great. So
that's it's some place to start off with, anyways, with a good result. So how have you found kind of the competition? Like, is everything very tight, or are people still kind of getting their head around it, and are there some people learning faster than others?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting when you bring a group of people together that, you know, some have racing experience, whether it's on a bike or, you know, motorbike or motocross bike or BMX bike or something, that they're used to understanding the rules and how to pass. And then you've got people who don't have any of that experience, and it's kind of just like a little bit of carnage. Like everyone's, you know, trying to get into the corner ahead of everyone else, and there's a bit of elbow bashing, and there's a few dodgy overtakes. But I think it's just, we're learning all the time, and it is a brand new sport, and it's been amazing to see how much I think everyone has probably developed over the first 2 races. You know, considering we've had a couple of test days where we've started and where we are now, you can kind of see the trajectory is, you know, people are improving pretty quickly. And even across the teams that, you know, initially maybe wouldn't have been quick in a test are now sort of like, oh wow, they've kind of progressed really quickly. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes on from here. It's definitely not you know, down to 1 or 2 teams. I think all the teams are in it. Yeah, it's quite close.
A really cool thing to be involved in, like obviously at the start of its journey, and obviously to be this year, but the kind of evolution and development of the sport over the next couple of years, and to see where it goes. In terms of hockey, we'll rewind a couple of months and bring you back to the pitch. There's a couple of games coming up for the Irish hockey team. The next international match against Japan from June 15th to 23rd. So can you talk to us a little bit about this series?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think they're getting, I know they just came back from Japan as well. They got a couple of games out there, and it's all, you know, it's good to have so much game time before you go to a major tournament. So I think that's what you always want to have. Like, training's good and all that, and you get to practice different things, but there's nothing like matches to really put into practice what how you're trying to play the game. So I think it's great that it's in Dublin. It's great to bring sort of the team back to Ireland again. It's been a while since they played in front of a home crowd. So I think it'll be nice to see how they get on and see what the prep will be like, you know, leading into the World Cup. So
Yeah, how important will these couple of matches be in preparation for the World Cup, and how do you think the team are kind of after coming down from the Olympics and then gearing back up for another important tournament?
I think they're good. I think it's a real it's a real young, energized group. So I think there's been a bit of change since Tokyo, and obviously that's an ultimate high, and the work and the effort, and even COVID trying to get in the way of it. There was such a massive physical, mental, emotional effort gone into that, and then obviously you come down the other side of it and you don't have long to build back up again. But I think it is a refreshed group. There's new faces there's very young people in the squad, and I think that's just, there's going to be a lot of hunger there and a lot of desire to go to a World Cup and do really well. So I hope that they can use this prep to really solidify that and be in a good place going into the World Cup. So
in terms of the upcoming matches against Japan, I know there's a couple of U23 matches happening as well. So what is the upcoming talent like? What can we expect from the under-23s? Obviously we've had a nice era of hockey at the moment. Will there be anybody pushing through that we should be watching out for over the next few years?
Yeah, definitely. I think the underage programs have come on so much in the last few years that they're now you can, by the time they get to the senior team, that they're ready. And I think that's sort of testament to all the underage coaching and development that's gone on there. I don't know any players in particular myself, but I am looking forward to watching a few of the games and seeing that young talent, because I know that there is a lot of young talent there, and the success that the Irish hockey team has had has probably only inspired and influenced those players to really kind of push on and want to get to that level themselves. And I know that they just came back from the World Cup in South Africa, the Junior World Cup. So they've gotten a good bit of experience out there. Some of these players will have been at that, and that's the level that you want to play at. And the more you can play at that level, the more you get confident to go up against the bigger teams and to play in the bigger competitions. So I think they've had a good bit of experience leading into these games.
What would your advice be for any of the athletes, whether it's on a U23 squad or an under-18s panel, be if they have aspirations to make it onto that senior team?
I think definitely it's it takes a lot of it can take time, so don't be deflated if it doesn't happen straight away. Progress is not always linear, so it's just about sort of sticking to the why you're doing it. Like if the hunger is there, the want is there, you'll get there eventually. And it's just about learning as much about the game as you can, like not just practicing the skills, but understanding the tactics around it, how to play the game, how to read the game, all those different things. If you can develop all of those things as well, then you give yourself a better opportunity. But for a young person, I think it's such a great place to be after everything that's just happened. There's so much opportunity now to keep the team going and get to Paris. I mean, it should be a really attractive sort of carrot there to work towards. And I think the resources are getting more and more. I see they just announced another sponsorship for Paris for hockey specifically, which is great to see. The funding needs to remain in place in order to keep these athletes there and to allow them to train as much as they can and together as much as they can. So
I know it's obviously been some journey that the hockey team has been on, exciting, and we'd be hoping to see continued success. Obviously you were involved in the silver at the last World Cup, so what can we be hoping for from this team and this tournament? Who will be the teams that we need to watch out for as well?
Yeah, I think every team's going to look a little bit different, obviously from 2018, because it's 5 years ago now, or 4 years ago, and so teams will have changed. Obviously we know certain teams will still be strong. The Dutch, no doubt, will be as strong as they usually are. Germany, and I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of the other teams lately, so but I think as you always go into a tournament, you focus on what you're going to do, and you focus on yourself, and not really pay too much attention to what the other teams are doing or who they have, or, you know, past results or things like that. And I think if they can just remain focused on their own game, their own performance, and what they do really well as a team, then there's no reason why they can't, again, do the best they can for where they're at going into a World Cup. You know, be hard to beat is always something that we had as a team. We were always a difficult team to beat, and I think that that's something that if they can hold on to that and then work on their strengths in attack, then yeah, who knows, anything's possible, as we've proved before. So
look, it obviously is kind of a difficult time to predict, like, the landscape of sport at the moment and how other teams are doing off the back of, you know, such a long period of time where there wasn't that many matches and that type of thing. So it'll certainly be an interesting tournament to tune into, and everyone will be, you know, tuning in again to see how the team gets on. It's great excitement that yourself and obviously the team built with the last World Cup. So fingers crossed for some exciting matches and good Irish results.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm excited for them. And I think, you know, they're excited going into it. I think they're really looking forward to it. And it's just another great opportunity to perform on the world stage. And yeah, I think we'd never have an Irish team that wouldn't go in there and cause some sort of an upset. So let's hope they can do that again.
Thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us about all things eSkootr and hockey. We'll be certainly keeping an eye and trying to tune into as many of the races and stuff. And yeah, look, we'll be sharing it so that people can tune in and check out what you're doing over there.
Cool. Thanks a million. Thanks for having me. And yeah, best of luck with everything with her sport. You're doing great things, so keep it going.
Great to catch up with Nicci, and here are some of the events coming up in sport this weekend. Rowing World Cup 2 will be taking place in Poland and Poznan, and we can't wait to see her sport ambassador Katie O'Brien in action. She'll be racing in the PR2 mixed double with her partner Stephen McCabe, as well as competing in the PR2 women's single. The women's four will also be competing, as Olympic bronze medalists Afra Kyo and Emer Lam will be in the crew. They will be joined by Natalie Long and Tara Hanlon, while the other Olympic bronze medalists Emily Hegarty and Fiona Murtaugh will be racing in the women's pair. A change for Sunita Pushpure, as she is joined by Zoe Hyde in the heavyweight double. Pushpure is known for racing the single scull, a two-time world and European champion. In the lightweight double, there's a change from the Tokyo crew, as Margaret Kremen gets a new partner on this outing with Lydia Heafy. At the World Para Swimming Championships, Nicole Turner, Roisin Ureen and Ellen Keane are all in action. In the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship, Cavan play Mayo, Tipperary face Dublin, Galway host Westmeath and Cork take on Donegal. In the Camogie Senior Championship, Clare played Dublin, Waterford take on Cork and Wexford will face Tipperary. And lastly, on Sunday, Katie Mccabe captains the Irish football team as they take on the Philippines in a friendly. Stephanie Roach is back in the squad for the first time since 2019. Thank you for tuning in to the Her Sport Show. A quick reminder that you can tune in to this episode and every episode on our YouTube, across all podcast platforms, and get involved in the conversation on social media. We'll see you next week.
The Her Sport Show, live every Wednesday on YouTube and every podcast app.